Welcome back to Shadowy Stories. Alex, my colleague, died quietly. I wouldn't have even noticed if it weren't for the computer alerts flagging his abnormal vitals. The shrill alarms and flashing lights startled me awake from my sleeping bag. A series of messages flashed across my smartwatch. Astronaut 1 heart rate monitor failure. Astronaut 1 galvanic skim response failure. Astronaut 1 oxygen saturation monitor failure. It wasn't until I shook Alex, his body unresponsive, that the reality hit me. His eyes had rolled back, leaving only the whites of visible blood. Thick and translucent like red jelly, oozed from his ears. The sight made my stomach churn. Headquarters came back with an aneurysm. That didn't sit right with me. An aneurysm? Out of nowhere? This sudden, inexplicable death in low Earth orbit left me reeling. I double-checked the readings, confirmed with HQ again. Yes, Alex is dead. Once I'd calmed down, I asked HQ for instructions. They transmitted a file I'd never seen before, outlining the procedure. Apparently, in microgravity, the corpse poses unique threats. Things change messily. I was to bag Alex in a specialized vacuum-sealed body bag, designed to contain, well, everything, biocontamination and all that. I wrestled Alex's stiff body into the bag. He was still warm. The bag conformed to his shape, outlining his elbows and nose. I transported him to the exterior of the station and secured him to the hull. The operation was simple, but emotionally, it was brutal. I couldn't believe he was gone just like that. A day later, I started packing up his belongings. I forced myself to remain detached, sorting his possessions into designated containers. Most of it was mundane. Pictures of his dog, a book, a certificate of merit from the Aeronautics Bureau he'd received when he was 10. He discovered a comet once, even got to name it. We'd run countless Mars mission simulations together. When the Mars exploration program finally launched, we were going to be on that rocket. We weren't the closest of friends, but we got along. We both enjoyed solitude and didn't mind each other's company. Alex was a good guy. I always thought he was simple, unassuming, no secrets, until I found the journal. It was stuck to the underside of his workstation's computer panel. Hidden, but easy enough to find. The worn cover and yellowed pages made it look like some ancient artifact. I hadn't expected to find anything so anachronistic on a space station filled with cutting-edge technology. The leather cover resembled an old Bible, but the contents were handwritten scribbles, shapes, repeated phrases, and binary code like the ramblings of a child or a madman. I figured he'd probably used it as a mindfulness exercise, something to keep him grounded during stressful times. But why hide it? The numbers and page ordering were strange, non-sequential. I had the feeling it held some special significance for Alex. Every gram on a space station is accounted for. Every person a light a man astronaut brings must be declared. Alex must have kept the journal's contents a secret. HQ would have made him undergo a psych evaluation there. No way it ended up here by accident. Alex brought it to the station for a reason. I spent over an hour examining it, flipping through pages filled with numbers and fractals. They looked like a cross between eyes and atomic structures. The further I went, the neater the writing became. I started to suspect he'd been keeping this journal since childhood. I thought I'd never understand what he was trying to communicate until I reached the 3/4 mark there. On a page filled with numbers, one sequence was underlined, with a word scribbled next to it, aneurysm, and a timestamp, 18,031,742,636. My blood ran cold. I immediately checked Alex's biometering data. Several machines recorded the same time of death. 42,630 on March 17, 2018. I sat there for 15 minutes, staring at the data. An impossible thought surfaced. Alex knew when he was going to die. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he'd committed suicide at that exact moment to fulfill some self-fulfilling prophecy from the journal. But how? I went back through the journal, scrutinizing every page. Near the end, etched into the paper with a fingernail, was a single word: sacrifice, and another timestamp, pointing to 6 weeks from now. A tapping sound came from outside. I started to check the external cameras, but the system told me I didn't have access. I queried HQ about the station's integrity. External cameras all nominal, they replied. I told them I heard impacts against the hull. They said it was probably space debris, no need to investigate. I switched off the screen, and sure if HQ was hiding something, the tapping had been intermittent for the past few days, even amidst the constant hum of the station's machinery. I could hear it clearly. Maybe I was just getting jumpy. There was no pattern to the tap 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 tap, but I had the unsettling feeling it contained some kind of message. I couldn't sleep. How could the station's microphones not pick it up? My anxiety grew. Sometimes I felt like the station was straining their no atmosphere up here. Objects heat up rapidly in sunlight and cool down just as quickly in shadow. These extreme temperature swings cause materials to expand and contract unevenly. Normal, I knew, but I still worried about the station's structural integrity. The tapping continued. Maybe something had come loose. If an antenna, a strap, or a piece of metal had broken free and was hitting the hull, that would be bad. I reported it to HQ again and again. A horrifying thought kept returning. Was it Alex? Maybe the straps securing him had broken, and he was bumping against the hull. The Flint body bag was relatively new, designed to vent the gases produced by decomposition, but it had never been tested long term. He was tethered out there. If he came loose, he'd just drift. I checked the cameras. The body bag was still there, the tethers secure. Relieved, I was even more perplexed by the tapping. The intermittent tapping made sleep impossible. Worse, I started having nightmares. I dream of being trapped in the endless, cold, black void, struggling against something, but unable to escape. HQ informed me they were sending a shuttle to pick me up. The timing code inside it with the timestamp next to sacrifice in Alex's journal. 6 weeks from his death, my reentry into Earth, the precise moment he'd predicted. The specific timing, combined with the word sacrifice, filled me with dread. If the reentry module malfunctioned, I'd be the sacrifice. This was supposed to be a routine mission. Alex's death in the journal had turned it into something sinister. I'm a rational person. I don't believe in prophecies, but I'm also human. I couldn't completely ignore the fear gnawing at me. The tapping continued. I was convinced it was connected to Alex's body. Maybe something was wrong with the cameras. I wanted to investigate, but HQ refused. My anxiety reached a breaking point. I decided to break protocol and check it out myself. I pretended I was going to inspect my suit, then suited up and opened the airlock. They threatened a court-martial, but I countered by threatening to release classified station documents. They backed down. I floated slowly out of the station, gripping the handrails tightly. HQ patched into my suit's camera feed, guiding me along the hall. They kept reporting my suit temperature, my distance from the station, but it was just noise. All I cared about was the tapping. I'll admit, I was scared. The immense shadows cast by the Earth and the station, the stark contrast between light and dark, unnerved me. I clung to the station, hyper-aware of every vibration. I felt like I was being watched. When I reached the section where Alex was tethered, my heart pounded. The station was shrouded in darkness. I couldn't see anything, only HQ's voice, telling me Alex was a few meters away. With their guidance, I found him. The beam of my headlamp illuminated the body bag, revealing reflective ice crystals on its surface. I touched it, feeling the cold, rock-hard form of Alex inside. I nudged him. He didn't move. The tethers were secure. Everything looked normal. Then what's making the noise? I muttered to myself. There is one possibility. HQ's voice sounded like they were holding something back. What? We're not entirely sure how a body reacts in a vacuum. Long-term bodily fluids can freeze and sublimate with temperature fluctuations. These changes could cause movement within the bag, impacting the station's hull. The Flint bag is designed for exactly this. Station instruments show the panel temperature is well below freezing. Everything is within acceptable parameters. You can return now. I understood their request, but I had to see for my sanity, for my nightmares, for my curiosity. I unzipped the body bag and instantly regretted it. A phantom stench assaulted my nostrils, bringing tears to my eyes. It only lasted a few seconds, but it felt real. I closed my eyes, telling myself it was a hallucination. I took a few deep breaths, opened my eyes, and looked inside. A collective gasp echoed from HQ. Alex's skin was blue, his eyelashes fringed with ice. But he was different. Frozen shards of blood protruded from his eyes, ears, and mouth. His jaw was twisted at an unnatural angle, a thick icicle, the width of a coin, jutting from his lips. His neck was broken, his torso ripped open, strips of flesh hanging like torn ribbons. His hands were raised as if clawing at his face. His fingernails a strange, sickly yellow. I made a sound somewhere between a whimper and a sob. HQ started talking amongst themselves. Bag failure. Unexpected pressure. Thermal fluctuations. No, this isn't right. I yelled. They went silent. How could his arms be like that? A muscle spasm, circulatory system reacting abnormally. There are scratches on his face. I said, bits of skin under his fingernails. Are you sure he's dead? Chaos erupted on the comms. Everyone tried to deny the possibility that Alex might still be alive. I was about to ask what to do next when the sun rose, and my visor automatically deployed its black shielding. The temperature spiked. I saw something writhing beneath Alex's skin. HQ's voice came through, strained. We're analyzing the video feed as being reviewed by a specialist team. The voice became urgent. Current orders: take samples, reseal the bag, and return to the station. Then a different voice hushed. Forget the samples, seal the bag, get back inside. I was eager to leave, moving back towards the station faster than I'd come. The feeling of being watched returned. I became clumsy, bumping into things. I felt paranoid, like something was flitting just outside my field of vision every time I turned my head. I knew it was impossible, but the feeling persisted. As I reached the airlock, my heart leapt into my throat. Tap, tap. Reynolds. Someone called my name, making me jump. I'd been so tense I'd forgotten HQ was watching. What? We were seeing something. Don't come in yet. Their voices were filled with fear. There's an anomaly. We're not sure what to do. What is it? The biosensors, Alex, they're registering life signs. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. And the cameras, we thought it was a glitch at first, but now, it looks empty. What are you talking about? I can't say anymore. Wait, I gripped the handrail tightly. I started to open the airlock. A scream from HQ. Don't come in, Reynolds, he's behind you. My head swam. Tap, 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 tap. I stopped. I was in space. In a vacuum, hearing sounds impossible. My gaze shifted to my helmet. A yellow fingernail tapped against the glass. A horrified whisper from HQ. It's on your suit. Terror gripped me. I reacted purely on instinct. I turned, screamed, and tried to push Alex away. But I missed, impacting my suit against the station's hull. Both our suit alarms blared. Get off. I thrashed, feeling something tugging at my suit. I saw the maneuvering jets. I fired them, propelling myself towards the airlock, turning at the last second before hitting the inner door, hoping to dislodge him. But I looked up, and he was still there, staring at me, his mouth filled with frozen blood, a predator at the gate. Reynolds, get away from the door. We're initiating emergency lockdown. The outer door slammed shut, Alex's hand reaching inside even through the bulkhead. I heard his scream. The banging resonated through the station. HQ went insane. I listened to explanations for hours. Experts transmitted data, reports, theories, but none of them had the journal. I had to figure out what was going on. The numbers in Alex's journal were gibberish. They had to mean something. Something clicked. I thought I knew how to decipher them. Light. Alex dedicated his life to studying a small comet in the Kepler belt. It rotated, occasionally reflecting sunlight. Alex had been watching the comet his whole life. I remembered him saying he'd been observing the cosmos since he was 10. Using his father's telescope, he'd been recording the comet's flashes. Light. Dark, light, dark. If light was 1 and dark was 0, that was binary code. Converting binary to hexadecimal. Oh God, some thing had been communicating with Alex. I didn't know which was more terrifying, the resurrected Alex clawing at the airlock, or whatever entity was using a flickering comet to transmit its secrets. Even knowing the principle, I didn't have time to decipher all the messages still. The realization hit me like a physical blow. Hundreds, maybe thousands of handwritten entries in Alex's journal. He'd even set up a real-time feed on his computer, converting the binary code to sound. A subtle, pervasive white noise, almost impossible to ignore. I felt like I was melting after a few days of exposure. But Alex said she'd been listening since he was a child, decades he'd spent. Listening, recording, waiting, striving to fulfill something we couldn't comprehend. I had to assume his death, the changes to his body, his resurrection, were all a result of this white noise. Was this the real reason he'd come to space? The banging stopped. I didn't know if he was still out there. The comms crackled. Reynolds, we're initiating a non-standard retrieval. I knew it was time to leave. What else did they say? I asked, suiting up again. They're concerned about contamination. Sterilization is necessary. That was odd. The plan is for you to exit the capsule, perform a spacewalk, and we'll pick you up mid-transit, correct? Yes, safer that way. I exited through a different airlock, facing the station, my back to the approaching shuttle. I kept my eyes on the station, expecting Alex to appear at any moment. I saw a flash of red light, a suit alarm. He was still out there. A while later, as I neared the shuttle, they said, "You're almost the return around, face the shuttle." The moment I turned my back, the pilot grunted. Something slammed into me. I knew it was Alex. He propelled himself towards me with terrifying speed. He scrambled onto my suit like a crazed insect. We tumbled through space, the stars blurring into streaks, the shuttle flashing in and out of view. Nausea and terror overwhelmed me. I willed the spinning to stop, but he clung to my suit. At one point, as he scrabbled at me, I got my first clear look. He was so close, even through the helmet. The detail was horrific. I froze, dimly hearing the pilot screaming. Alex's face. His entire body was now a mass of jagged, red crystals of varying sizes, some like cleavers, others like needles. Jesus Christ, what the hell is that thing? Reynolds, stabilize. And that thing is not getting on my shuttle. I wanted to respond, but I was busy fending him off. My suit was punctured. I knew I had minutes. I had to stop him from getting to my helmet. Whatever had reactivated his memories, he must still know how to breach a suit. I swung wildly, trying to dislodge him. We kept spinning, then it hit me. Could use the momentum. I fired half my maneuvering thrusters. Accelerating the spin. Uncontrolled spinning is an astronaut's nightmare. But it was my only chance. I spun faster until he was flung off. I corrected my trajectory, stabilized, and a minute later, I was inside the shuttle. In the quarantine bay, the crew huddled a window telling me how lucky I was. After decontamination and a medical check, the pilot said they were taking me home. Alex, where is he? The crew exchanged uneasy glances. One of them finally spoke. The thing that attacked you. I nodded. He should be gone. I'm sorry, he was on a trajectory towards Earth's atmosphere. He'll burn up on reentry. I looked at Earth, remembering the word sacrifice in the journal. 6 weeks. Sacrifice, burn up on reentry, another prediction fulfilled. I was glad I wasn't the offering. I took a deep breath, sat by the viewport, and stared into space as we hurtled towards Earth.